It's 3 a.m. and you're not thinking about tomorrow. You're thinking about Tuesday, the thing you said, the way their face shifted, just slightly, just for a second, and you caught it. You always catch it. You've replayed that moment 40 times now. You've tried every variation, what you should have said instead, whether the silence that followed meant something. They've probably forgotten it completely. You haven't. You never do. This is what it looks like from the inside, the mind that never actually stops. You can be in a conversation and simultaneously running a commentary underneath it, monitoring the way you phrased something, noticing the micro-expression that passed across their face, filing it, coming back to it later, in the shower, at the grocery store, in the car ride home. You rehearse difficult conversations before they happen. You pre-live the argument, the misunderstanding, the bad outcome, not because you're negative, auntie, but because somewhere in you, being caught off guard feels dangerous. So you map every exit before you walk in. You read rooms faster than most people read sentences. You know when someone's mood has shifted before they've said a word. You feel the temperature change in a relationship before there's been a single sign anyone else would notice. And at the end of the day, while everyone else seems to fall asleep, in under 10 minutes, you lie there, alert, looping, like a browser with 40 tabs open and no way to close them. You are tired, not physically, though that too. You are tired in the specific way that comes from living inside a mind that never fully rests. If any of that sounds familiar, drop a 1 in the comments. I want you to see how many of you are reading this right now thinking the exact same thing. And here's what I want you to know before we go any further. This is not a character flaw. This is not anxiety you failed to fix. This is something that has a name, a mechanism, and an origin. And once you understand all three, the loop starts to lose some of its grip. Coming up, I'm going to tell you exactly what is happening in your brain when you overthink, and why it makes complete sense that it won't just stop. Overthinking psychology has been studied for decades, and the research points to something very specific happening in your brain. There's a system in your brain called the default mode network, the DMN. It activates when you're not focused on a task, when you're resting, daydreaming, waiting in line. Most people's DMN drifts to dinner plans, random memories, pleasant nothing. For overthinkers, the DMN doesn't drift. It locks. It locks onto unresolved situations, perceived social threats, things that were said or left unsaid. Dr. Susan Nolen-Hoeksema spent decades studying what she called rumination, the tendency to get stuck in repetitive passive thinking about your feelings and problems. Her findings were clear. Rumination doesn't solve problems. It rehearses them. And the more you rehearse, the more entrenched the groove becomes, until the brain treats the loop itself as familiar and therefore safe. Think of it this way. Your brain is a prediction machine. Its entire job is to model what's coming next so it can keep you safe. When something feels unresolved, a conflict, an ambiguity, your brain doesn't file it away. It keeps it open, active, running in the background. The problem is that certainty never comes, and so the loop keeps running. That's the overthinking psychology at the biological level. A brain doing exactly what it evolved to do. In a world where most of the threats are social, ambiguous, and unresolvable by thinking alone. Stay with me, because understanding what's happening in your brain is only half of it. Next, I want to trace where this started. Think back to an earlier version of you. Not a grown woman, a child, a teenager, someone smaller. Was there unpredictability in your environment? A parent whose mood determined the emotional weather of the whole house, and you learned to read that weather before you walked in the door. So you did. You got very, very good at reading rooms, at anticipating, at running the scenarios in advance so you'd be prepared. That was not anxiety. That was intelligence. That was a child building a system that worked. Because in an unpredictable environment, thinking ahead really does protect you. Replaying really does help you calibrate. Staying alert really does reduce the number of bad surprises. The overthinking was the correct response to the environment you were in. The tragedy is not that you developed it. The tragedy is that the environment changed and the system didn't get the message. You grew up. The environment stabilized or you left it. But your nervous system stayed on patrol. Your brain kept doing the job it had trained years for, because nobody told it the emergency was over. Your overthinking is not a flaw that appeared out of nowhere. It is a survival intelligence that got stuck on. It was sophisticated, it was accurate. It read people correctly and prepared you for situations that other people didn't even see coming. But here's the part I want to say with care. It costs you now. It costs you sleep. It costs you the present moment. The work is not to stop thinking. It's to let your nervous system know that most of the unresolved things you're carrying are not emergencies, that you survived the environment that taught you to stay alert. And now there is, finally, room to rest. Drop an 8 in the comments if this is the first time someone has put words to what it actually feels like inside your mind. You were not born anxious. You were born perceptive. And somewhere along the way, perception learned to run all night. Before you go, I want to ask you something specific. What's one thought you've replayed so many times it's practically worn a groove? An old conversation, a moment you can't seem to leave alone, a thing someone said or didn't say. And do you know where it started? What it is you were actually trying to figure out? You don't have to explain it fully, even just the age, even just a single word. If this hit close, our next video is about why the most emotionally intelligent people are often the most exhausted. Watch it next.